everybody. This is Mel Corcino with Mel Corcino Drum Talk. Today we have a special guest with us, Mr. CZ Dan. I always call him Dan. I know he has a lot of names, his artistic name, but today we're gonna call him Dan because he's my friend. Dan, how you doing, brother?
Cheers, my brother.
Yeah,
Thanks
nice
for
to
having
see
me.
you. Oh,
This is
man.
great.
Thank you for coming over, man. This is going to be great. It is great having you over here with us. Since the day that we met, it's been a great connection. I know we have some friend, Anna Sabinski, and she said that some way, somehow, we have fallen in love in terms of the drumming community that we're building over here. And dude, since the first time that I met you, it's been great learning from you, having the opportunity to know you as a person, as a player, and with the different bands that you are playing locally here in Connecticut. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
I've always been a fan. You know, I saw you years before we got to meet, and been a fan of your playing, and now I'm even more of a fan of you as a person. So it's kind of really cool to come down here in the Beat Lab and where all the work and woodshedding and magic happens and all the stuff that you do and create, and just excited to nerd out a little bit and talk drums, you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, our passion, you know, I know you feel the same way. This is a passion that if we would have the opportunity to do it full time every day 24/7, we will do it. But for whatever decisions that we made in life and things the way they work out, we still have the blessing to do it part-time and still invest some time following the passion that we have, which is drum music.
Yes.
And building a community of musicians here in where we live.
Yeah,
So,
100%.
yeah.
100%.
all right, so let's start, man. Where were you from this area all your life, and how did you get into drums?
Yeah, I'm from, I grew up in the Plainfield area, northeastern Connecticut. So, now we're in southeastern Connecticut. So definitely been east of the Connecticut River my whole life. And, my parents were musicians growing up. And, my mother was pregnant with me, singing in a band. And, I kind of, she said I used to swim around to the rhythm of the music even in the womb,
Wow.
So the faintest memories I have in life were always surrounded around music, but the fascination for drums are sneaking in behind my uncle's drum kit when I was like 3, and I had like a little toy mallet, a xylophone, and he wasn't looking. I'm like whacking a floor tom, and just wanted to be involved in that somehow, some way. So yeah, so definitely I'm local and grew up in the music world, with my mom and dad. So that was a blessing to be indoctrinated into it at a young age.
Yeah. So then your mom was a singer. Was your dad also involved in music?
Yeah, dad was the guitar player.
Wow.
And when they were young, just having me, that was a big way they put food on the table, was playing professionally and trying to figure it out as really young parents. And then they entered into the workforce and got their careers going, and they kept it as a part-time thing. So that was things that I was able to experience when I got older. Their bandmates were like uncles to me growing up, and got a lot of good experience and tutors and things like that at a young age. So it was always about getting mentors and how the business works, how the music works, and then that innate fire that burns in you was naturally nourished by the environment that we're in. So yeah, they mom and dad were both in it, and they continue that with my son now.
Mhm.
So it's pretty cool to see him kind of take the road I've been taking with his both sets of grandparents actually.
Yeah, that's the great Xander, the Z man.
Yeah, yeah.
So, being a father and being involved in music all your lives, and now having your son Xander, that is also a player, he's a great drummer too, man. And he's what how old is he?
He's 10.
He's 10. Oh my God, I don't know what
Yeah.
I was. You know, when I was 10, I remember that was when I was introduced to music.
Mm.
So seeing him developing the skills that he has at 10 years old is amazing.
It
So
is.
how do you see yourself like a mentor of your son in the drums? What things do you try to convey on him to develop his skills?
Um, I guess what I try to be cognizant, looking at it through his eyes,
Hmm.
and try to nourish the fire, direct him indirectly to where he needs to be, as to not take out the fun of being a kid and being creative. Sometimes when you put the rules in front and you kind of say this is the path, this is the way, this is the almost seems like the only way to do it. In kids' brains or people's minds, it can start giving these rules that can stifle creativity.
Hmm.
So from afar, when I see a part that isn't right, we can go in and work on the fundamental structure that will help correct that. And then the love of that song will now be easier, more fun to play because that fundamental part was put in. He's been able to come and to the theaters that we play with the Bosse Project and see some really good gigs that we've been able to do. And it's been a lot of fruits of the labor that's been like a lifetime
Hmm.
in the works. So to not make that seem like it's common and everyone just does it without the work. So it's always trying to influence the work, keep putting it in, be around um, people that allow him to play and that he loves to play and connect with, and experience the fun things that I get to do. And I love to bring, a lot of I do with my family, and I can bring my family with me to experience that. And, just to stay mindful and appreciative, not to take anything for advantage of it, take for granted anything, whether it's the talent or the gift that he was given. I think God gives us. I don't think we can take credit. I think God comes in and He puts that in people and puts it in their hearts, and from that God-given gift, it's up to the individual to nourish it and make it whatever it's going to be. But yeah, it's definitely hard to drive a car without a motor.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so awesome that you have that connection with your son. And if I can ask you, when was the time? Like, can you tell me a little bit of when was the time that you realized, oh my God, he has something special. Let me help you out and influence him and try to direct him to continue developing his talents.
Wow, that's a good question. Boy, he has been in it in his whole life. So, my father-in-law and brother-in-law are two amazing talents on the local scene, and you know, my father-in-law is one of the best musicians I've ever met, and Xander was fortunate enough to have that experience with his grandparents on both sides. That they were both music. All his grandparents are musicians that he gets to jam with. So he was always saying it, guitars at the kitchen table and going to shows at a young age. Being a little kid, getting up with a guitar at 2 years old. So by the time he was 6, he, in my head, I'm like, it's not cute anymore. Like, you got to do something. You have to be productive. Now it's not a show. It's not a cute little side thing.
Yeah.
You're taking up some room here. And when he was born, as an infant, I would sit him on my lap with sticks, and we'd sit behind his little toy kit, and we just play a groove and just lock in that pocket, in the breathing. And if he was fired up, just try to lock him in where his hands are moving, getting an energy out, but the breathing and the pulse of a groove is there. So fast forward 6 years old, he's always had a kit in his room, So when I said, hey man, Nick, he knows how to play chords on the guitar, and took lessons from my dad and my father-in-law, my brother-in-law. But his hands were so small, it was tough for him to comfortably play. But he always had this natural ability behind a kit. To teach him a 2/4 groove was surprisingly simple, to delineate, counting time and locking in the groove with the foot. So I want to say for him, I noticed it probably about 6. When my wife went in, he's sitting on a kit, and she started playing all kinds of music that he's never heard before. And it was all from all different genres. And he's finding the time signatures. He's hearing the pattern. And when the verse came back around, he could figure out when a pre-chorus came and a chorus. And sure enough, that's what told me to talk to him. I was like, hey, buddy, you're a drummer.
Yeah.
You're a drummer.
Yeah, it's life sometimes is interesting how things happen, because it is like a circle, right?
Yeah.
A full circle, because you were introduced to music when you were in your mom's belly, right?
Yeah.
Through her being singing and playing while she was pregnant with you. And there's scientific evidence that when you expose kids, even in the womb, to music, that some way, somehow opens up and make the connections in the brain to develop those talents. And it's interesting how that happened with you, with your parents, and then how you also use that and that experience and pass that along to Xander. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's cool to hear something scientific to validate, the kind of the theory that we had on it. So,
Yeah.
there is something more to it, which is pretty amazing to see it actually manifest in real time,
Awesome. Now, if you were to give Xander an advice, now that he's 10 years old, things that you have learned through the process of becoming a very proficient drummer, and mistakes that probably you have made in your career and your history, what will be a advice that you will give Xander that maybe if you would have that when you were trying to learn the instrument, you think you're going to be better off? What will be that advice that you will give him?
Play piano.
Very good. Like learn another instrument.
Learn another instrument.
Yeah.
And that's probably my biggest thing I would tell him now to help round out, because the language and the dialogue that's exchanged with ideas can be so much more efficient if you can convey it to the other players in their language as well. And understanding when there's a key change for drum parts, that change, how those melodies and rhythms connect, and you don't want them to, interrupt each other or disrupt each other. And he would also be in charge of his own destiny in writing. Drummers, you really need to lock in with a songwriters that have the melodic structure of guitar and vocal. But if you can play piano, or some sort of guitar where you can convey that and write a melody and then go back and play it, or you could write and record, like a Dave Grohl kind of guy. So like some of his heroes, a lot of his hero drummers, are multiple instrument players. So I think that would have definitely helped me along the way. Having that exposure, I was exposed to it. I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
I would start it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going back there.
This is my thing.
Yeah. This is way more comfortable.
Yeah. I hear you, man, and it's interesting because to me it happened also. Like I play a little bit of guitar, piano. Oh my God, I'm less than a novice, right? Like I don't know what I'm doing, but with one finger, and then I re-record the second finger, and then I make it happen. But I don't know how to play piano, but I know to play a little bit of guitar. Definitely that had helped me, but I never dig into it. So it's almost like we are talking a different language when I'm talking to a guitar player or a piano player. I'm talking on rhythms term. It's in the, let's go to the chorus. Okay, the chorus. So let's go to the chorus. I know what the chorus is, but then there's a key change, and I go, yeah, it's in this part when we do rukutukupaka.
Yes.
And they are like, what rukutukupaka? You know what I mean? Like, so I agree with you 100%, man. Learning another instrument, the basics of it, and learning the language that our bandmates use. Like this is in the chains. We are moving here to the C chord or the A chord, or we are now in the chorus where we play whatever chord. Understanding that and listening and understanding the chord changes. That's phenomenal for a drummer. It just help you out to understand that language too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Writing,
I agree.
well, writing and learning both, like it helps
Mm-hmm.
in so many different ways, and then having the band finally come together and make a new song, whatever, if it's a cover or you're making it your own, becomes so much more efficient and consistent.
Yeah.
Landing those songs consistently with a band before you take it out really helps if everyone's understanding their thoughts the same way, and it saves on people being frustrated and things like that too. So
Yeah. 100%.
lessons learned
Yeah,
along
of course,
the way.
of course. Now, going back to your childhood and you learning the instrument, so when is the time in your life when you realize that this is something I want to do? I want to get better at this. I want to do this. When was that time for you?
I want to say I was about
Yeah.
4 or 5 years old. My parents, their band would rehearse at our house, and the drummer would leave his kit there. And at the time, it was my uncle. So it wasn't set up. So I'd sit there and I'd just stare at this thing and salivate, going, man, it was a blue Ludwig Vistalite. Like,
Yeah.
man, I want to get on this thing. I remember back then, like the Pepsi bottles were like that clear. I'm like, this thing looks like a big Pepsi bottle. I want to play it. And after the rehearsal one day, he let me get on and he showed me, a basic 2/4 groove. And because I had been watching at that time, my whole life, to be able to sit down and finally play it, it was like my body and brain knew what to do. So he broke it down what each limb was going to do, and I was able to sit down and play it. And then he looks at my parents and goes, that's all I got. He's on his own. You can do it.
Yeah.
And right then and there, it was like get a validation from like one of my heroes that he's like, yeah, you can do this. You got it. So wanting to do it, and then someone kind of saying, yeah, you can, sent me on the trajectory. And MTV came out, and then you start seeing all these bands and seeing what it could be. And my parents would go to concerts, come home, tell me like the gear the drummers were using, and oh, you would have loved it. It was a Tama, back when the Power Toms were out, and right after the jazz sizes and the fusion size drums were starting to fade out, and everything was going to Power Toms, and that was like my era to play all the heavy metal music, and that was of my own liking. So yeah, that's how all that came about, was making me excited to get gear and go out and play and hear it through a PA, and that thump and that roar of locking in with a bass player. So yeah.
So that's quite a history, man.
Yeah.
So what's your uncle name?
Dennis Gladu.
Nice.
Yeah, he was the one that was the very first one. A guy named Mike Karen was a drummer in my parents' band. Then after him, he brought me along the way, got me an up-to-date drum kit, and then when that band dissolved, there was a drummer who's still around. His name Ned Peabody.
Okay.
Ned Peabody plays with a band called Billy Pilgrim and the Big Blue Thing. But by trade, he's a blues drummer. When he was playing with the drummer from my parents' band, who became his singer, so Mike Cameron was a singer in a band called Mystery, and Ned was a drummer, I'd go and watch him, and to this day, he's my favorite, most influential guy that's ever been around. And Katie's Tavern up in Putnam, on the Putnam, Rhode Island line, they do an open mic jam. He still plays up there. And I bring my son up there to meet him and sit down. And to this day, I sit in amazement, you know. Like Carter Buford, open-handed player.
Yeah.
Can move around the kit. Feet and hands equally as talented. Any groove, anything you can imagine, the guy can play with ease. Was always a showman. So like, I remember the stick going flying in the air and the spotlight following it and coming down. And I'm like, he's not just playing drum. Like, I'm not just watching a drummer, I'm watching a show. And it was just such a culmination of like, even the way he counted time was, with a trick, and it helped keep like the momentum or the flow of a groove. Almost like, where if he wasn't doing that trick, it would mess up the time. It was such a piece of art, and or like a martial art thing looked like,
Of course.
So as a young player, it was like completely fascinating because I didn't see too many people doing that. So to this day, still hands down one of my absolute biggest heroes and like influences is them guy. So if you can find Ned Peabody, check him out. He's on Facebook and all that stuff, and his bands are amazing. So he's a very accomplished player as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great story, man. It's interesting because that happened to me too, in the sense that when I got inspired to play, it was because a local person from church is playing the drums in a way that it just amazed me. And then I realized I want to do that. So it wasn't about Jeff Porcaro or, Dave Weckl or all these musicians that I was able later to hear them and get inspired by them. But that was not the beginning. It was Ray Torres, which was a local musician in Puerto Rico that played with probably one of the most influential songwriters in Puerto Rico within the Christian music, that if, I will do whatever I could do or give whatever I could give to have the opportunity to play. That's the way I felt about him, playing with him and his music.
Wow.
The same thing with Efrain Martinez.
Yeah.
Local people that they were just passionate about the instrument and they submerged themselves on trying to learn the art. And those people were the ones that influenced me, as well as my first teacher, Pepe Torres. And it's funny how that goes, sometimes we drummers, we talk about the big names, right?
Yes.
But what I had seen in many of the drummers' histories and, is that a local guy, an uncle, a friend, a neighbor, was the person that got them into the drums. And isn't it that interesting how that works?
It was, especially because, you and I are pretty much the same age. The era that we grew up in, there was no YouTube. So there was a mystique about these pro drummers and how they did what they did. You thought you heard it and you thought you understood it. And then all of a sudden, you go down and see a local player and you see, oh, that's how it's done. And the connection seemed to be much stronger watching them do it. So, these young guys now that, new drummers, not just young people, but new drummers that get to learn from the pros, watching, the Drumeo shows and stuff like that is the amazing thing, how it's turned. So, I just watched Steve Smith from Journey, play Don't Stop Believin', and said, oh, that's how he does it, The way I had played it wrong for years, thinking I had it figured out. So, you know, there's something to the connection you get with whoever you see do the craft, and then you know, if you're fortunate enough to be able to talk to them and, you know, develop a rapport, it almost doesn't matter if they're a pro or not. They're doing what you love, and they're accessible, and they're humble and approachable. You know,
Yeah.
that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Definitely, and also it teaches us to pay that forward too with the younger generation, because us now that, you know, we're getting old, right? We are not not new generation anymore, right? But by the opportunity that we have to play locally with different bands, we can become that person also for the new generation, the same way that you have become that for your son. We can become that for new generations, right? If we try to grow and expand our talent and get better in the drums and really dig into the art of drumming and music, we can be also the influence for the new generation that is coming.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating seeing that in your case with your son, how you know, all the things that you are doing some way somehow are impacting him to try to get better in the instrument too, you know.
And it's pretty cool because we're fortunate to have a lot of great drummers in our area, and there are guys that all take them under their wing, and I'll give them a little something, and you know, so you know, you're one of those guys for him to be one of his heroes that he respects, and you know, knows that he can come to you with anything, goes and sees you live play, and you know, the things that he's able to pick up by watching all these live players is cool. And the community, to your point, around here is tremendous. They all take the younger generation under their arm, and you know, they give them a shot, and you know, entertain the questions, and you know, all that. So, and are gracious and let them sit in on the kits and stuff like that. So it definitely doesn't go unrecognized, and it's always it's good to see him appreciate it, and then hear it come up and hear names come up when we're talking about different music that he hears local guys playing, or songs that remind him of the playing of the guys around us that are, you know, part of our community and, you know, friends circles. So it's pretty cool.
It is. All right, so let me ask you this question. Were you involved in music within the school system, or were your influences were always around people that were working and playing, you know, locally in our music scene? How was the school in your formation as a drummer?
It was minimal. In the sense that I had family teaching me at a young age, and then by the time I made it to school, probably by 4th grade, I was taking lessons on a pad, getting rudiments down. I didn't get to hit the drum kit in school until 7th grade, and by then I was probably playing. I was playing a full kit and playing my first gig in front of people in 1st grade. So it was like, it seemed like there was like it was like a lag, and it took me a while to find people that were my age that I could relate to in playing in school. But they were all adults, so I was fortunate to be able to still play, and with adults that were patient with having a young lunatic drummer behind them. So fast forward to middle school, there's a great drummer, Peter Boyer. He was one of my drum teachers. He was a local drummer for band Milena and Hitchcock Railway for years. And
the band is still on, right?
Yeah.
Milena? Yeah. Wow.
Shout out to Bobby Straub. He's been the one that ran it, and he owned a music store in town, you know, back in the 80s, and you know, is one of my big influences on band management and how to run a successful band and all the secrets. I'd always try to pick his brain on the secrets on how to do it. So love Bobby, and love what he does for the music community, and what he's done for me personally, and for Xander. You know, he's always really good to the family, and his drummer was the guy I studied with for a while. And then once I got out of high school, I realized that I needed more in the education aspect to open up my mind as to how to play other styles. So I started studying with a guy in Long Island, Jeff Concy.
Okay.
And he's probably my second most influential guy in my playing. And his lead singer in the band, he was in a band called Mama Kettle. The lead singer, Steve Broderick, ended up being in the first iteration of Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Wow.
So when that happened, Jeff took a gig with a Nuno Betancourt, guitar player from Extreme, and they were on tour, and started rehearsals in Australia before going to Japan. And he ended up he called me, he's like, dude, I'm getting married. I'm like, you were in Australia for 2 weeks, you're getting married? What? And like now you can look him up, plays all over Europe, and
Wow.
he stayed in there, he got married, had a family, like his whole life changed just on taking that one Nuno gig. And so, he was my other teacher that, helped me a lot in terms of developing new styles and, playing with a click. I was a while before I was playing with a click. They didn't have drum machines and stuff like that when I started. They just had the, and
like the normal
metronome.
that clock, clock.
Yeah, that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
It's like I just hit the tape player and play some mixtapes,
Yeah.
So that wasn't happening. So it was definitely not like people are now. Like school-wise, they're so much. They do that a lot more on front load with that, which is good. I think they get further faster, and they open their mind up to more material.
Yeah.
And I was young and had blinders on for one style of music, and fortunately my son does not have those blinders. He's open to everything and loves to play everything. So, it's cool to see there's a lot of players like that too. So. In like United Theater down there, I think where you teach, that's just a great pillar of the community to build young players by really good teachers, that have great professional and personal experience. There's when you see your teacher teaching, and then all of a sudden, they're on a big stage and you're doing it. It gives credibility.
100%. 100%. And I think the good thing about that local community is that you can also help them, not just in the technical aspect of the instrument, also in the practical aspect of the instrument.
Yeah.
This is the way I play. This is the way I run tracks. This is the 2 hours before that I get to the gig to set up my drum set. To be there on time, to be professional. All those intangibles that.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Is more than just be good in the instrument.
Yes. There was guys, a guy, Richie Holmes, local drummer, plays with Brandon. He gave us a call and let us know that a guy, Rich Redmond, drummer for Jason Aldean, was going to be in town doing a clinic. And he had Jimmy Elcock, the drummer for Mitchell Tenpenny, with him. And, so going in, it was great to hear them give the humble advice of, hey, we're touring all over the place. The only reason why, and anyone could pretty much, of that caliber can do the gig. But it's the individual, it's the personality. Who do you want to hang with? Who do you want to be on a bus with? Where's your loyalties? Those kind of things like that. Being loyal and humble and accommodating is huge. That goes a long way. And not having an ego. And when you see these professionals selling out arenas and playing, and then they come down and they'll sit on the curb with you and have a grinder and talk about things. It always makes me realize that there's no reason for anyone to really have these rock star egos on any level, because people in my mind's eye that could rightfully have one, they don't. They're still normal, and it makes it easier to root for them, and it validates the need for just being humble and helpful to the people, or if they need, someone to sub, hey, yeah, you can call up your friend and say something came up, I don't want to cancel, and help your friends out and do those things, because we're all in it together.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, and that is so truth, man. Is at certain level, everybody can play the music, right? If if we are like we do, or at least I do. I know you have some other things going on for you that I want to touch base on. But in my case, that I'm doing covers and I'm playing with bands that basically is party music and playing covers. You come to a level in your instrument that you can play the music, but it's not about being able to play the music. It's about, like you said, being a good hand, be professional. When you say you're gonna do something, you do it. Learn the music, support your teammates. It's about those things. Be there on time. When people need help, you are there to help them. When mistakes are made, because everybody makes mistakes, things go bad in a gig. How you lift up your team members instead of pushing them down and make them feel like, they are not worthy to be there playing with you. Those are the things. It's like being professional in anything that you do. You go to your job, your secular job, right? That is not music, and you are an asshole all the time, and you are fighting with people all the time, and you are late, and then you don't know how to do your job. How long you gonna last there?
Right.
Right?
Who's gonna want to be around you? And it was funny. We got in the band thread. We got a meme of a drummer giving a dirty look to a bass player, and it was like, if you make a mistake, look at the bass player, and then like it's his fault, and then someone says, "Oh, is this true?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. That guy's a jerk." It was like, we win together, we lose together. How good a band is if they can cover a mistake and have nobody know that it happened. Sometimes the coolest things that happen in bands I've been involved with derived from a mistake. Like sometimes it becomes magical as well. It was just unplanned, and the spontaneity of the response to that just sometimes ends up being like a big grand ending and something really wild where somebody pulls out some crazy chops and the guitar player's shredding something through, where that never would have happened if everyone would have hit the ending the way it was supposed to be or the way it was rehearsed. But it became something pretty wild and magical in the moment that unscripted, and you probably couldn't do it again. It keeps that organic vibe. So knowing how to deal with adversity live in the moment, really makes people, the individuals, professional. It makes the band professional. Being able to work through those things and not have a bad attitude about it.
100%, man. Especially when at the end of the day, we are doing this because we love to do it.
Yeah.
So have a good time. If it's not fun, it's not worth it. Why to do it if it's not fun, right?
Right. Because that's a lot of stuff to
Yeah,
hold.
of course. Yeah, 100%.
We're like the Marines, first one's in, last one's out. Like it's the sound guy and us usually coming in and going out. So if you're not having fun, then don't do it. It's not worth it.
No.
It's and even the bandmates that they come through and before they leave, they carry some of your gear out to your vehicle, and like those little things are huge. Like for me, I never miss an opportunity to thank any one of my bandmates that after they're hauling their gear, they help me and haul some of my stuff. And then it's like, well, I pay it forward, and then I'll help the sound guy move his stuff if he's the last guy out or whatever. It's like those kind of things of looking at your other bandmates, and it's not expected, so, and it doesn't happen all the time, but just those little things here and there always make a difference, and always help out, and I think that creates a good vibe within the band. It shows, that everyone's thinking about the next person.
Sure. 100%. All right, so I wanted to ask you, I know you are involved in different projects. Some of them are cover bands, some of them is original music. So right now, can you list the bands that you are currently working with?
Yeah. So Nick Bosse and the Northern Roots.
Mhm.
That's my number one project. That is where the 90% of my time goes to. Then there's Tony Marshall band. It's he's another great local singer, guitar player, and Chris G, Funk
Mhm.
Master G from
Yeah.
newly indoctrinated with you in
Yeah.
Fusion.
He needs some lessons. I'm gonna tell him. You need some lesson, Chris. Oh,
Yeah.
what a great guy, and what a awesome talent, right? In the
Oh.
bass, amazing.
Tremendous.
Yeah.
So he plays in that, and like honestly, I'm truly spoiled playing with Nick Bosse and Nick Anselmo. Like
Mhm.
he's another amazing kid, amazing player.
Yeah.
Well versed in a lot of styles. So those are those two gigging bands, and then I do sub work with bands. And there was a gig I did last weekend with some guys from the zoo, Anthony Edley and John Dotson, a guy from Southern Voices, and they all do the corporate gigs and the bill paying material, and then we got out and had this you know side project gig called Booty Stank, and just to be ridiculous and
Yeah,
funny.
of course.
But we were doing the Seven Dust and Five Finger Death Punch and Godsmack and Black Label Society and all this super heavy stuff, where though that's really hasn't been the gigs that I've been doing for a long time. Those are my old Hard Knocks days. So to come back out and after 10, 12 years and do that material again, it was fun, and those guys got to blow off some steam. So it was
Yeah.
good fun side projects. Another great guy in the area, Eddie Alidia,
Yes.
with Eddie and Andre. He's another legend. We've been we were going through different lead singers for this 80s metal rock project. That's going to be something we want to do just a few times a year, just to blow off steam, have fun. But then I do a lot of southern rock stuff with my father-in-law, Don Barnes. He's like the second coming of Ronnie Van Zant. He's just an amazing human being, talent.
Yeah.
I take so many pages out of his book on how to be in a band and how to manage situation, how to be a dad. The guy's just, I couldn't ask for a better
Yeah.
person to be around.
Yeah, I saw him. I was playing a gig with Dennis Wally, sound guy. He's also
Oh,
great
Dennis,
guitar.
yeah.
Dennis. He's a great guitar player, great singer too. And so I saw for his drummer that got an accident in his hand and couldn't
Mike,
do it.
yeah.
And so I saw for him, and it happens that your father-in-law was there with his band, and he was singing. So we had an opportunity to talk a little bit. Ron was playing the guitar, the drums, the drummer for
Ronnie
the
Lewis.
Julius. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Another legend.
Oh my God! Yeah, I took a lesson with him.
Did you really?
Yeah, about the New Orleans stuff.
Oh yeah.
Cause I play it a little bit, but I know something is missing, and I dude, can you teach me?
Yeah.
And he goes oh yeah, come over here. So awesome. But anyway, I had the opportunity to talk a little bit with your father-in-law. Such a great guy too, man, and his voice, I'm oh my God, so good.
There's only one. There's
Yeah.
only one of him. It's just, amazing. And he's another one. He brought his son up, who's the guitar player, Don Barnes Jr., the guitar player with Nick Bosse. And, kid looks like Thor up on the stage, and
Yeah.
he's just...
Yeah, he was there too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, amazing guitar player.
Kid's absolutely born to do what he's doing right now. So, there's another blessing in just being able to go out on the road with your family. And Nick Anselmo's like my little brother. So it's great to go out on the road with those guys and just do cool things and experience those things together. with people that you'd probably just hang in with like this anyway.
Exactly.
Now you just get to go out and play music in different areas, and
Yeah.
you look down at your drumsticks, going, "Holy crap, these sticks got me here!" Like I wouldn't be hanging out here if it wasn't for these two pieces of wood,
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. But so yeah, that's ultimately those are the irons I have in the fire, and then those are my main working projects outside, just sub gigs that come
Sure.
through here and there.
Yeah, man, you've been a lifesaver for me, man. Thank you for the times that you were able to take the job and solve for me. That has been life-saving for me too. Because you know
you're
how
busy.
it is.
Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah, something comes in and then, oh my God, and now I have this conflict. And I'm telling you, man, the first person in my list, there's a couple of people in my list. You always make number one, especially for things for fusion.
Yeah.
The band love you,
Thank
you
brother.
are awesome. So
They're all.
thank you for helping me
Oh, my
on that.
pleasure.
Yeah.
I mean, you're my number one go-to whenever thing comes up.
Thank
Like
you,
whenever
man.
whenever I would need something, it's like, or people call up and like, hey, I need a drummer for something. I'm like, I got the guy. If he's available, you're gonna be lucky.
Yeah.
But Mel's gonna be whatever genre or style. He's gonna do what you need done. So yeah,
Thank you, man.
100%.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun. This thing called music and drumming is just fun.
How many things do you have going on right now?
Right now, dude, I'm busy, but we're not gonna make this about me. It's all
Okay.
about you, okay? But yeah, man, I'm working with fusion.
1 hour later.
So Nick Bosse, let's talk about that gig. I know that's your main gig right now, and it's original music. You are recording with them,
Yeah.
doing a lot of things. You are touring with them. Tell me, how did you get that gig?
Oh wow! So the Bosse gig, because I was not, the first phone call. I was known as the rock guy.
Yeah,
And my brother was getting married, and I'm up at a gig that was in Rocks 21, Haley Mansion,
Yeah.
up there in Mystic, and I'm at a dinner, and I'm hearing in the back this guy play this great Merle Haggard and all this outlaw country stuff. The only guy I knew to do any of that live was my father-in-law
Yeah.
and my brother-in-law. So I peek my head around, expecting to see sort of an older guy. I see this young guy in his like mid-20s just killing it. I'm going, I sit back down. I told my wife, I was like, go look at that. She peeks her head. She's like, oh my God, that's Donald's age. He was in, we were like, they got to meet. Well, we weren't the only ones to tell them that. They both realized they needed to meet. So Nick started coming around and to some gigs that we were doing, and he'd sit in and we would jam, and we'd go follow him, and we started talking. So there was a little bit of a history. So once 2020 rolled around, he was looking for a lead guitar player, and he was absent a guitar player. That one night we were at the Phoenix, and he saw Donald in the audience, and he says, "Hey, come on up for a song." He went up and never got off the stage. It's been there ever since. After they won the Battle of the Bands.
that's on the Mohegan Sun.
At the Mohegan
Yeah.
Sun there, Locals Live.
Yeah.
They looked for, they went through some transitions with players and direction, and they started auditioning players. Fast forward, so that was in January, so come of 23, we're in March, and me and my brother-in-law, like any of our typical crazy stories end, we're like half banged up at the bar, drinking, talking, just catching up.
Sure.
And he was telling us what his summer looked like, and we're in March, and that they were still holding auditions, and they had 5 coming down. So I go, hey, throw my name in the hat. So we called Nick, and Nick's like, what? Are you kidding me? I never thought he would be a country player. And it seemed to be the consensus with a lot of people. They're like, you're doing what? So I got all the material, learned it, went down, and did my audition, and we always knew that we liked each other, and it was a good hang. And then we realized, like, well, this matched up musically too. figuring out what he wanted. We talked about the goals. So that's how the Bosse gig came about, was through my brother-in-law, sort of knowing Nick, and then wanting to challenge myself as a player to do something different. I played that material with my father-in-law before, but to do it full time and try to pay credence and homage to the people, that genre, and the people that create that music, and not, hijack it, try to stay true to it and still kind of create your own vibe.
Sure.
Was acceptable for Bosse. So I came in and so yeah, he offered me the gig and he's just like, hey man, we're going full throttle. We're not stopping. He goes, hold on as long as you can. He goes, let's see where this goes. Gave us a list of goals, and so far, like, he's been hitting the milestones that he projected, and I see the work that he puts in to make those things happen, and so yeah, I'm really grateful to be a part of that project and with them people, and being able to. When I came in, he did the Portraits record, and he did that one in Nashville. I think he did like 3 of them in Nashville, but that was his last one there, and then he did some stuff up here. And he afforded us the opportunity to write as a band. Now we got his solid lineup of the core of the band, so that he entrusted us with that process, and
Cool.
now.
So that will be, he has 3 albums, is that right?
I want to say 3 or 4. I want to 4. I say 4. And now the Northern Roots. So there's Nick Bosse, and then us as a band is called Nick Bosse and the Northern Roots. So now with the Northern Roots, we're working on our record that started last year. You can tell how old I am. I'm calling it a record. Working on
It's a record.
whatever it is, right? Like, so this started last year. We went to a new studio, a new guy producing it, and so that would say it's No Limit Studios on Rhode Island. Chris Parquette is an amazing engineer and musician, just super talented. Really has been making this process pleasurable. So we're looking to release that record with all our stuff coming out. Hopefully for this United Theater gig we're doing.
You're doing the United Theater in Rhode Island, Westerly?
In Westerly, Rhode Island.
That's an amazing venue, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. So that's gonna be we're hoping to make that the record release, party for everything, and we'll be able to take all the material that we have in the can for last year and this year and make one full thing to go out to the DistroKid and then send it out onto all the platforms. And hopefully we can get it printed in time too to get CDs out. So it's good. I mean, it's that's how it is with recording original music is just a whole nother animal.
Definitely. So how your mind or your the way you approach the music changes when you are playing live versus recording a record?
It's different in the sense that when you're actually like in the padded room in the booth, my playing has to change like physically. Like the engineer will come in and say, hey, that's a good take, but I can offer some advice. Hit the snare. He goes, you're playing live with that organic, dynamic kind of pulse of an energy that you want for certain parts to crescendo. He goes, I'll cover that here. I want a signal on the graph. I want that thing to be thick and fat all the way through. So by him not having the preamps up on the mics, he's just wanting this like bashing, and I'm playing something that's not that,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on. You got between getting everyone's final arrangements and your charts and all that, and now you're playing it locked into a feel, following a click, and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta, and normally like my reputation was to be a hard player.
Yes.
So I'm going to myself, what is this?
Yeah.
This isn't enough? Like,
Yeah.
it was the only time it was ever said to me. But once I got out and I heard it through the speakers and what he was talking about in separation, like to have someone break it down like that, you know, like in golfing terms, like if you were putting, you wouldn't have your driver. You'd have, it's all that touch and that feel versus your driver. You're just crushing it, you know? So it was like someone, like being on the putting green and someone to take your driver and smash the ball. It just didn't make sense, you know? So like that, you know, and I think, you know, when I hear it, it probably ended up being a cool thing because it gave some of it a little more of a drive that I normally wouldn't have had in there. Live, it would have had a more organic feel because of the type of material that it was. But it was controlled, it was contained, and he's able to do a lot more with that. So like playing live versus the studio, like physically, that process changes a lot. And then mentally, there's a lot more things that part of your mind that knowing that it's permanent always sits there. So you want to make the right choices, the right time. So, you know, the tracking was real important for us to make sure we could play them all and think what was a good idea, listen back, make sure we're making our right decisions. Where live, you just go and it's gone, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. To me, that's the biggest difference. The biggest difference to me is life is something about that moment in time, where you are doing that and whatever happens and it's gone. Now, somebody might have recorded it, but the intention was to play in that moment. When you go to the studio, now the intention is that is forever. So the mindset changes a little bit, at least for me, is okay. Plus, there's all this additional pressure that sometimes you don't have in a live gig, which is, all right, now we are playing to a click. If we're playing to a click, now, you know, I want to choose a transition from, let's say, the verse to the chorus with a feel that it sounds cool, but at the same time, it's not too busy, it's not taking out of the music, and every time that I hear it, I feel proud of it. And that adds a level of complication in playing in a studio setting, at least for me. So I wonder if you had that experience too when you go and record. Are you nervous? Like, how do you deal with those other variables that come into play?
I drink.
Good answer. Always help.
No, like go in and like I'll go in and just blow off some steam behind the kit.
Yeah.
And then like sometimes when you know you think you have the arrangements or the band has the arrangements, and sometimes you know when you're playing live, whatever that arrangement is at the moment it is. But when we're in there, like not all the instruments are there. So especially for the drums, you're like laying down the first track. So like I'm having a scratch track of a vocal and like a rhythm, and then there's some lead stuff that's sort of scratch tracked in and out, or not at all. And you're keeping in mind, okay, I want to make room for and not conflict with some of these lead parts that are going to be going on during this section that there's only space. So I'm playing to keep time, but I also want to add accent and flair to what could be there. And so, you know, like that's another whole different mindset. So like after that, the last time like I came out after taking like, I think we did like 4 takes of a tune. I came out of the booth and like I pushed Bosse and I jumped on the floor and I just started doing push-ups.
Yeah.
It's like the adrenaline, I'm like, I got to get this out, like get it out. And you know, because you were so controlled and contained and focused in there, you know, you just wanted to, you know, be like a dog that got out of its cage and just wanted to go bananas.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's how, honestly, that's really the way we do it. And then to be able to get in the list, to do the listen backs and to laugh and to like get them endorphins and all that energy that's being inside you that may come from anxiety. You know, and you're confident, you know you're prepared, you know you can do it. But, you know, the element of being permanent and what's best for the song and what's best at the moment, what are you going to be proud of? You know, like I really rarely question myself. but I find myself in the studio going, hey, what do you think about this? I'm going to give you 3 choices. What about this? What about this? You know, and then, you know, sometimes for me, based on giving them 3 choices, I can understand where they're going to go, where they're feeling, and then we can kind of coincide with a mindset. And then there's other times you just know, and it just goes. You know, some things we did in like 2 takes, and it was like, yeah, this is it.
Cool. Now, do you record in that setting? Do you record only the drums to do some backing tracks, and then everything gets built on top of that, or do you record like the band playing together, and then you track your drums, and then they keep some other tracks, for example, bass or guitar, if they come out good? Like, what is the process with Bosse in the studio?
Yeah, so last year we did, we played in a bigger studio where we did bass and drums, and then guitar punched in wherever they wanted to clean up, and then they went and did vocals and other auxiliary instruments. I think, like, we did a song called Donnie Doesn't Know. I want to say there was like 16 people that came in on that track and did guest spots. Like, it was a song that had all these people's names in it, so every person's name that was in the song or had something to do with the song, they all played on the record, you know, like even Nick's dad who drove the truck, his name's in there, like his voice is in there, you know, shut up, like it's a background thing.
Didn't he play like a saxophone part or something like that in one of the recordings?
There was our sound guy, Nick Minnow, did come in and play a sax part, so, you know.
Oh, you're talking about Nick Conselmo first? What Nick were you talking about?
But we have 3, right? So Nick's dad is Nick Bosse's dad. He was driving the bus.
Oh, I see.
We had another guy driving a truck with a trailer and sound equipment. That's Nick Minnow with Nick Minnow Sound.
Yeah.
And then we have Nick Anselmo, you know, playing bass.
Player, yeah.
So yeah, that was all the elements of that. So that was like last year. This year we went in. It was a smaller studio. But like just a better vibe, and we tracked it with drums in the main room, and then I had a scratch rhythm and vocal in my ears, a click, and then I had Nick Conselmo on bass and Don Barnes on guitar, doing a scratch track.
Okay.
So the only thing was recorded was drums that day. I think we knocked out 5 that day.
Okay.
And then
But the goal was getting the drums. That was the goal.
drums was the number 1 goal that
Okay.
day. And then Kinsama went in, laid down the bass. Barnes went in, did the guitar, and then you know, then Bosse goes in and does all the vocals. Harmonies go in. Actually, before the vocals are done, we do like pedal steel, fiddle players, like some piano players come in, and then the vocals are the last thing that go on. So that's tracking to be done soon. Before that happens, we record, like we set up our rehearsals to be like a gig. Everything's set up, the PA's set up like a gig, the lights are the same, stage plot, and then we just record it. So everyone, it gets chopped up, and then I'll send it out to everybody, and then we can listen to it. So like the tracking will go on for probably 3 months. So by the time you hear your scratch tracks that are in the studio, you have an idea of what's going to be the arrangement, and you're going to have the feel. You're going to have an idea what that feel is going to be like. So we just decide when we hear in playbacks whether we're going to add, oh, you know what, let's add punches or like things that are influences that would work there. You know, certain like blues hits or Skinnerd hits. We'll start manifesting there. Whether you want to do a double time chorus, you know, or something. Sometimes that's when it comes in, so we'll chart those out, get everyone on the same page, and then lock those in, and then we end up going back and then learning that final version. Like that's the one we're going to learn after all the different variations that have come across to hear. You know, when you hear the evolution of the tracking versus the final product, it's pretty neat. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like a logbook of the progression of that song growing up from the idea to the final product.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Like I got them on the drives and like Google Drive, and I'm trying to clean up, make room for the next thing, and I'm like, man, I'm just having a hard time deleting them all because it's like, it's like your kid. You're watching this thing grow from here to here, and what people will hear on iTunes isn't going to be the same as what it started. So there's a rawness to it. And even in the studio, we'll go back and take a track from November and say, hey, there was a break here after the lead that we never did again. But at that moment, it seemed to fit, and we put it in. So we'll bring back different elements from different dates, and then come up with a final thing, and then play that consistently to get it ready to play out. So it's a neat process. Nick Bosse lets us be who we are as musicians, and he'll bring in a melody in a song, and we'll play, or we'll jam, and he'll have lyrics that he hears us playing, and he just lays it out, and it'll fit, so.
Yeah, that was a question I wanted to ask you, but you answered already. So it seems like there's no preconception of what you're gonna do in the drums. It just allow you to be creative and bring yourself into the song, and whatever decisions you are making, he trusts you on that.
Yeah, for example, there's one that we're doing now. I think it's one that has 4 on the floor, and it'll go in between different. I'll hold that 4 on the floor kick, like the old Merle Haggard style, in between verses. Through different verses, there's a pause, and the kick will hold time, and he'll sing over it. So I start listening back and questioning. I'm like, yeah, is that a good decision? Do we build it? Do we let it breathe here and then let that follow up? When do we introduce it? Do we just keep it consistent with the whole song? And that led to a conversation with Nick and I talking, and he was like, no, man, I had that Merle Haggard thing in mind when I wrote it. That was how I was feeling in the moment. So he goes, that kick pattern is consistent through the whole thing, and I like that. That's what it's about. And I'm like, well, thank you. That answered my question. But he never told me that on the front end. He just let me play with what I was doing. And he might say, hey, let's grease it up. Let's put some stank on it, and that term, what the feel he's looking for. But outside that, he always lets the players be who they are. And it just sort of comes together, eclectic, but still in the same, different flavors, but it's always the same soup,
Sure.
That kind of really answered a lot of questions for me where, when you listen to yourself in third person, I guess.
Yeah. It's very easy to be overcritical of whatever you are doing. Tell yourself, I can do better than that. However, at some point you need to let it go and say, that sounds good, everybody's happy with it,
Yeah.
I can live with that, this is done.
Do you get
know
more
what I mean?
critical the older you get?
Say it again?
Do you get more critical on your playing and for reflecting the older you get, or you have an easier time now letting things go?
I see myself caring less as I'm getting older than when I was a younger player.
I love it.
Yeah, it's like the pressure of, people will listen to you, you want to make a stand, you want to get your name out there, you have to be perfect, there's so many competition.
Yeah.
The older that I get is, am I proud of what I'm doing, and do I like it, and is serving the song? And if I can answer those 3 questions with a yes, I'm doing a great job. Tell me, what is your differences in the approach of gear for a live gig versus the studio?
So I had 2 different realms of thought on that, right? So when I took the Bosse gig, I went out and I bought some 60s Ludwigs, and I'm playing them that ain't it. So and then I went and bought some recording customs. And no, I think I had these Tama Bobingas, great kit, but ultimately, the studio led me to the Yamaha Recording Customs, like the Donnie Doesn't Know track and Watch 'Em Roll were recording customs, and I really liked them. The engineers came back like, man, these things sound great under the mic, and they do. Like these are recording customs.
Mhm.
These things love the mic. They are
Yes.
great, and they just are musical.
And the mics love them.
Yes. They just, tonally just work. There's such a musical drum. Then there were a lot of gigs like I'm like, man, I don't want to bring. They're too nice.
Mhm.
They're too expensive. Like I'm not bringing them to certain gigs.
Mhm.
So my man Anthony up at Village Drum
Mhm.
in Situate, Rhode Island.
I heard they are closing.
You make me cry on camera.
Yeah, no, I
They're
know.
closing, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anthony and Bart, just two of the best, two of the best. Like, amazing. Like, mentors in music. Like Bart, is toured with the Dixie Chicks for 10 years.
Yeah,
He was a Nashville guy, just like an encyclopedia of information. And in drum history and how to fix things and work things and make them, match tonally. And so I'm really gonna miss the hang with them guys. It's and being at that store and all the gear they had. It was just a place where I found the kit that I'm playing now is the PDP Concept Maple Classic.
Mhm.
The classics have the walnut wood hoops
Mhm.
on the kit.
Mhm.
And I would play these other used high-end kits, and then I would go over and just randomly just hit a kick drum or whack this PDP on the shelf. And Will from WPR was like, "Man, that thing sounds good." And I never bought it. Instead, I would just not buy like one of these high-end kits. It was like a $7,000 DW kit, collectors, wood that was submerged underwater for years, and they built a drum kit out of it. It was beautiful. It didn't sound as good as that in the room. Like, I don't know what it was. So, finally I get that kit, and I bring it to a show, and Nick Minow, our sound guy, comes up and he's like, "That's it. That's the sound. It sounds, the EQs love it, and he would not only go objectively show me the graphs, and like scientifically or mathematically, we figured out, the frequencies that work for that material, not using gates, the resonance factor, and controlled overtones, the 60 hertz kick sounds. It's like all that stuff was
Nick
part
is
of.
awesome with that, all that science behind the sound.
Yeah.
It's amazing the way he thinks about that and the tools that he has to do that stuff.
Yeah, he can show you,
Mhm.
because I'm back here. I'm in my ears. Whatever's going on, whatever air's being pushed out, is what it is. I know how I feel when I'm playing it. So when I'm sitting down and I'm playing this kit, I'm like, oh man, I like this. So I bought a few more different colors, different size variations. So, we'd be at gigs and I'm using a 22 and we're playing up in like Massachusetts on Facebook Marketplace. I bought a 26 and I got the guy to meet me at the gig. I'm like, "Hey, I'm in Mass, dude." And he comes down and like I'm borrowing money from Nick Minow. I was like, "Hey, can you got cash? I want to pay this guy." So he's like lending me money to buy this big bass drum, and we're miking it on the fly and getting it to work. So it goes from like an 18, 22, 24, 26 are all the different variations we've tried. And like even the 18 at an outside gig with the line arrays, it sounded unbelievable. So
is that your goal size, a 20?
So now my go size is the 22. Like
22.
We mounted mics in that one. That's the go-to one. So that's live. We were playing a gig the night before the studio a couple weeks ago, and I told him like, yeah, the drummer I talked to, the producer and the engineer is a drummer. He's got a beautiful DW collector's kit there with the tunnel built around the kick, and I'm just going to bring an extra tom, but I'm going to use that whole setup and use my cymbals. And his face dropped. And he's like, I'm going to say this, Dan, I think it's a bad idea. I go, why? He goes, we got the sound. This drum set is now the sound of the band, musically, in the percussion side of things. He goes, all the stuff we went through, he goes, and then when you hear that record, you hear the songs, it's not going to be the same. You got to use these. I'm telling you. He goes, I'm passionate about it. I said, all right, enough said. I respect that. I respect you. I'll bring it. And we broke down the guy's kit, and, I used Nick's kit. I used my kit based on Nick's recommendation. I used the studio kick drum because of the tunnel he had built, and there was no front head. There were these blanks. All this stuff was built in the room for this kick, and it would have been a nightmare for him to switch out. And to Minno's credit, he heard it. He goes, "That's not your kick." He heard the roughs, and he's like, "That ain't it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah, wow.
But all the toms and everything, the snares. That was all, what I used live, and like I got my WPR that I'll always use.
Yeah.
Willie's built me quite a few amazing drums, so I think you and I are we're sort of known for using them, in the area and try to spread the word for Will.
100%. I'm in love with the work that Will is doing, and the craftsmanship of the snare drum and the sound. Usually I take it live, but I've been recording with it here, some things that I'm recording. So now I took the one that I was recording before, the recording, the brass.
Oh yeah.
So I took it to the gig the other day because I didn't want it to mess around with the setup that I have here for that drum.
Nice. Yeah.
Because I'm loving how it's recording too.
Is that right? It's oak, right?
Yeah, why oak?
That oak, some of the oak that he's building, it's amazing. There's the metal gig that I did. I brought a piccolo that was 14 by like 3.5, made out of 1700s white oak, and the density of that wood, and the ring pattern's so tight. I'm like, it's got so much volume and body for such a small drum, and warm, like I've used it in the Wolf Den. It's just like, it's an amazing live drum. So yeah, that's been stuff. He just built me a Purple Heart one that that's a beautiful drum. So and then there's a mahogany one that I'll use for that lower fat, an 8 lug. It's got more twang to swank to it, or that looseness. And then we just started putting some internal mufflers, like the Ludwig's, the Ludwig internal mufflers on there. And for me, I'm not using a gel anymore, or the dots. I'm not using a ring. If I want a little bit, boom, turn it. And I'm like, I haven't used them since like the old acrylite Ludwig aluminum snares back. I had them like in the 80s. So, and that was probably the last time I had those adjustable mufflers. So I was watching Ben LaRose play with the Benny Greb sonar snare, and that's an amazing, beautiful drum. And the muffle system slides up and down. There's 2 of them. You can put 2 different kinds of muffle on them, the lamb's wool or the regular felt. So talking to Will, I was like, hey, I want to do an internal muffler.
Yeah, he was talking to me about it. Those ideas that you wanna bring to the snare drum with the muffle.
Oh, and it was just like based on the room.
Yeah.
You know how you bring it out when it's cold, and you bring it into the club, and based on the club, if there's a lot of wood around, and the refraction of if the wall behind you is too close and it's bouncing off. So like, working with Minnow, I really realized how much these things affect the environment of each room, and how it affects your sound, and how to still be consistent with. You want to be like Dunkin' Donuts, have the consistent, when you go in and get that coffee, you want to make sure it's the same in and out. And like almost with the sound of the band, the sound of my drums, I want it to be consistent in and out. So, keeping them things in mind, like even the circular, like in the live performances, sometimes I'll use the circular acrylic discs, that'll be in front of just the cymbals, as to not bleed into the mics. So when the guys are singing, their in-ears aren't picking it up on their vocal mics.
I see.
And if there's a wall too close behind me, it bounces from me right off that wall and shoots out, and it sometimes makes it worse.
Yeah.
So it was all these little things, over time you start learning, what works live and how to dial your sound in, So yeah, that's been, a learning curve.
Cool. Any preference on cymbals? Do you have your go-to cymbals, or do you experiment with different cymbals whenever you have an opportunity?
Yeah, I experiment all the time. And lately I've been using the hybrid Zildjians, where it's the K dry on the bottom, and then about 2/3 of the way up, it turns into an A custom, where it's that bright, brilliant finish on the bell sides of them. And for what I'm playing, it's the consistent tone. There's a dry warmness, and if I want to get bright accents, they're right there on the top part of the cymbal. And the tonally, the overtones are very controlled, not too dry. They ring just enough. They cut when they need to. So I've been a huge fan of them. Before that, I was using the different versions of the Dream cymbals,
Okay.
the Contact, the Energy, the Bliss, and I think before that, the rock days, I was using a lot of A customs,
Yeah.
and I haven't had a lot of them, but I am a huge fan of the Sabian H8X and
Evolution.
AAX. Evolutions are amazing.
Dude, I love those cymbals.
Yeah,
I use it for everything.
they're so musical.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
Yes.
a huge fan of them. So, sometimes it just depends on, how it is. It depends on the project, and if you need it to cut more, or you need it, when I started playing with Bosse, I had 3 sets of cymbals, because based on the room, I had to try different ones, and, my wife's going, I'm playing, she's like a sound engineer. She's
Yeah.
like, it sounds terrible. And I'm going, oh no. Come to find out, it wasn't the cymbals. It was me. Like, I was just playing too hard,
Yeah.
I was still the rock guy, crushing stuff when I shouldn't have been,
Yeah, yeah.
So, that experience forced me to play more musical, pick the right gear to, but even with the right gear, you have to play it right.
100%. 100%. How about heads? I know you experiment a lot with heads.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Had you settled on a specific head for the Bosse gig?
So with the Bosse gig on the PDP kit, it's like a 3mm, 3-ply maple shell, and I'll use a coated ambassador on the bottom and a coated 2-ply, like a coated pinstripe on the top. And there's a guy who owns the Middletown Music Store who was at the gig I was just doing with that metal band, and he asked, and I told him that setup, and he laughed. He's like, "Are you kidding me?" He goes, "It still sounds controlled and warm, and it cuts. I cannot believe you're running, a coated 2-ply on the top and a coated bottom. You would think it'd be like just a ambassador, but I got the coated ambassador on the bottoms, and for me with the Bosse gig, I absolutely love it. With my recorded custom, I'll do the coated emperors. I think you run that as well.
Yeah, that's what I have for this. I'm recording. I love it. For live, I like the suedes, the Remo black suedes and the Remo white suedes. They sound different. I thought they were the same thing, just the aesthetics will be different.
Yeah.
One is white, the other one is black. No, they sound different too. I found the black suedes with a little bit more bottom,
Oh yeah.
and the white suedes a little bit brighter.
Oh. With the I ran the black suedes on a stage custom, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Because they were still articulate, even though they had that low end, they were still articulate, and the pinstripes were just a little too bright. I had some Aquarian Performer 2s on there. that big black ring with the white, and they had power dots in the middle. Some of those, you could run it where the head's all crinkly and the lugs are shaking, and you could still get that really good low-end tone. They weren't as articulate, so you didn't get that bite or that attack when you started doing a fill. And subsequently, it just made it a little less musical, didn't have as much resonant tone. It kind of killed some of the body of it.
Okay.
So I yanked those off, and I think I talked to you and went to the suedes, the black suedes app, because I saw them. I think you had ran them on yours.
Yeah.
I was like,
In my maple kit, I have them for many years.
Oh, the maple custom is what you
Yes.
have. Yes. Okay.
And those are, to me, those are the heads for that kit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I had a maple custom for years. I wish they made those then, because I, absolutely fell in love with them. And I only had used them on a snare, and after seeing that, I started running them on the kit. And then with some of the WPR drums, I've been using the fiber heads. Sort of looks like the calfskin. Or a vintage Aquarian.
Okay.
And it just, out of the gate, is warm. So when I want to crank it down, I'll crank it all down. I'll still get the cut, get the attack, but it's still warm enough for what I'm doing. And then if I want to fatten it up, that 6 o'clock lug, like I'll bring it down to almost a wrinkle, half turn, and then bring the 2 on either side, at the 5 o'clock and the 7 o'clock. Like I'll tune them back half, and I get that warmer fat sound, or I just bring it all back up and it cuts when the song calls for it. So that's been a pretty versatile option. So non-traditional, like those are not traditionally what I've ever used, but this last year I've kind of gone down that path and got good feedback. Sometimes you'll be doing things and it sounds fine, you're happy with it, and then there's things you do and out of the woodwork, like people just start coming up to you and noting it, and it was pleasurable to their ear, and you're like, maybe I'm on it, maybe something, maybe there's something to this, So, or it could be it sounds great and they're just not saying anything at the time.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know.
How about drum pedals? Any preference on that?
Yeah, the pedals of for years been a DW 9000.
Okay.
Had them forever. Back in like 99 I got them and I ran them until like everything, the bearings were falling out, and replaced it. But in the interim of like replacing it when it was starting to, piddle out, but I got like a good 20 years out of it. The Tama Iron Cobra longboards, Speed Cobras. I like the longboards. I think if I would do a 9000 again, I would do the XTs, the extended boards. I like having a little extra real estate for doing like slides and getting that triplet. And like I'll run them with the bra straps. I've been using them with straps on the DWs, and then the Tamas are just a chain drive. I've tried the direct drive Tama Speed Cobras, and those weren't for me. But yeah.
Why you didn't like them?
It was a little too mechanical, like stiff. I couldn't get the reaction. So like if you were trying to do like that gallop, like it wasn't necessarily the downstroke, but like on the up, it felt a little too like clunky.
I see.
So so I kind of veered back to the strap, and I think the strap for me just makes it lighter. And when I was younger, I couldn't afford, like a chain drive was a luxury. Like I couldn't afford that. Mine all had like the old Tama just straps, and I use those, and sort of I go back to those nylon straps, and I like them.
Yeah.
They're smooth. There's more maintenance. You gotta they stretch out. You gotta replace them, but yeah, I guess it's just a comfort because I've played those for so long.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I have them here. I have the straps on this setup, and then when I play out live, then I use the double chain.
What pedals do you use?
I use Yamaha.
Oh, the Yamaha.
Yeah, it came with the when I bought many years ago, I bought the Maple Custom. So I went. That was the first time that I used the pedal. Well, not really true. I tried one time in Puerto Rico, a concert that I played. They have the backline that they had was a Maple Custom.
Oh, nice backline.
Yeah, that's when I fall in love with them.
Yeah.
And I said, well, one day I will have one of these. And when I moved to United States, a couple of years after I moved, that I started playing, then I saved money and I got them. And since then, that's what I'm playing. The Yamaha professional line of
The Flying
pedals.
Dragons? Flying Dragons?
Yep,
Yeah.
those are, yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it wasn't called like that when I bought the kit. It was called the Professional Series or something like
Yeah.
that. But those became now the
Flying Dragons?
Yes, and that's what you buy new now. That is the flagship for pedals for Yamaha.
The Yamahas pedals that they had back in like the mid 90s,
Mhm.
where they had like the black stripes across them.
Yeah.
I used those for quite a few years, and to this day, they were some of my absolute favorite. They were before the professional line came
Mhm.
out, but the type of music I was playing, I used to break them all the time.
Yeah.
The chain where it bolted into the footboard
Okay.
would snap,
Okay.
and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I had the DW 9000s or 5000s. I started using them, but on my practice kit at home, I had 3 of those pedals because I absolutely loved them. And probably if I would play them now, wouldn't have been anything.
Mhm.
But once I had spent that money, I just by happenstance, I just never happened to go back to the Yamaha ones.
Mhm.
But I've always been a fan of the way they played.
Mhm.
You know, I felt like I could get my thoughts out really well with those pedals.
Mhm.
You know, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. What I do is I put them very light, so it's to me they're simple to play, very easy to play, and I get even with the tension that I use that is relatively loose.
Hmm.
The bounce back is amazing.
Still responsive.
Yeah.
I started using those beaters that I was here one day and saw them.
The DW ones?
Square DW ones.
Oh, I'm loving
Those
those.
things are great.
Yep, yep.
You got the foam, the hard rubber or plastic center,
It's like a plastic center. Yeah.
and you just get a controlled attack, but it still has like a warm
Yes.
low end tone.
Yes. 100%.
I'm like, nothing does that, you
Mhm.
know? Like, my stick bag has all kinds of beaters for depending on the gig, you know? Like rubber balls with like yarn around it, like all kinds of crazy stuff, but I always use the DW ones.
Mhm.
Do you use the weights, the counterweights on the
Nope.
stems?
It's all down.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't need any more. Like, too much, I'm taking it in the shin, like it's kicking
Yeah,
back and hitting
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Like, so, you know, it's like I was getting kicked in the shin all night. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool, man. Now we are almost at the end of this amazing interview, but I want to run a quick fire round of questions for you. You cannot think a lot about them.
Okay.
You just need to answer. This is not for you to do a 5 minutes introspective.
One answer?
Exactly. This is just whatever comes to mind first. That's gonna be your answer. Okay?
Fire round. Okay, let's see what we got.
Okay. So, favorite drummer of all time.
Ned Peabody.
Favorite not drum hobby.
Ooh, lifting weights.
Cool. What type of coffee do you like?
Speaking of Dunkin' Donuts, medium iced coffee, 2 cream, 2 Splenda.
Awesome. A song you wish you had played on.
Ooh, there's so many great ones, but I would have to say, Spirit of the Radio,
Okay, cool. Who's that from?
Rush.
Oh my God, yes.
Real eclectic, you know, progressive, yeah.
Cool. Now, what's your son's favorite groove to play?
His favorite groove right now is like a double bass shuffle.
Okay.
He's been big into this band called Flaw from the 90s that he turned me on. I never heard of him, but yeah.
Cool.
So yeah.
What's your favorite groove to play?
Oh, my favorite groove to play? Song or groove?
Groove.
So I would have to say all these syncopated drum tracks, like Morgan Rose kind of 7-dot stuff,
Okay.
like where it's all these syncopated drum grooves to the guitar player.
Okay.
It's been so fun to learn and to play. My era before was firing through, like playing a straight groove and the guitar does his thing. Now a lot of this stuff where, this double bass patterns are matching what the guitar player's playing, so it's so fun.
Okay, cool, man. All right, Dan, has been a pleasure.
My dude.